Hello, good evening to you and welcome to News Hour, coming to you from Broadcasting House here in Accra. My name is Gifty Iji.
I am Shelley, and I'm Clement's son is our signer for tonight.
We look at the stories making headlines this evening. Ghana and some parts of the sub-region today experienced a partial solar eclipse.
Parliament dismisses motion to investigate President Mahama's alleged car gift.
On the international front, presidential guards attack headquarters of Gabon's main opposition leader. And other stories, surely.
The Speaker of Parliament, Mr. Edward Do Ajahu, has dismissed a motion tabled by the minority in the House to investigate President John Mahama for accepting a car gift from a Burkinabe contractor, Jibril Kanuzi.
Speaking at an emergency meeting of the House, Mr. Ajaho explained that the matter was already being investigated by another constitutional body, the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Shiraj, and therefore Parliament did not have the right to look into the same matter.
And now, a remote sensing expert, Professor Emmanuel Amamu Ochiri, has confirmed that Ghana and other parts of the sub-region experienced a partial solar eclipse today.
According to him, the phenomenon was not intense because it happened in the early hours at around 6:30 a.m. Again, Ghana this time was not directly under the passing shadow of the moon compared to 2006 when the country was directly under it. The geographer also said the country would experience a total solar eclipse in February 2034.
September 1st, 2016, Ghana experienced partial solar eclipse in the morning between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. The moon came between the sun and the earth, but the phenomenon was not intense. According to a remote sensing expert, Professor Amamu Ochiri, it was because the sun was in low horizon.
It happened. The phenomena happened all right. The time given it happened. But we are gradually gathering experiences in the variations of eclipses. The first one of our contemporary times was the 2006, which gave us that wonderful 3 minutes darkness. Then the second was even November of that year. It was annular. Today, what we saw was early morning sun, 6:30 a.m. to about 8:30 a.m. to 9. The sun is in the low horizon, so it is passing through a longer atmosphere of clouds and rain. So that one, the rays of the sun is not as intense as it should be after 10 o'clock.
He said Ghana nearly missed the opportunity because it had started raining.
Those of us who were disappointed today, sorry, the weather told us I have to also do my work. I have to give rain, and the rain will come from the cloud. So if you didn't see it, I'm sorry. Next time when you are lucky and I'm not there, you will see it. But those in other parts of West Africa, even in Ghana, Navrongo, news came from there that they saw it. Takrady, they saw a glimpse of it. Kofodia, they saw something like that. So in Ghana, if you do some cross-country examination or you get reactions from people, they saw it differently, even in Accra.
This occurrence required the use of protective glasses such as sun-watching shades, or what is popularly called eclipse shades, to view the sun and the moon in engagement. But GBC24 gathered that some persons looked at it with their naked eyes because it was not intense. But the geographer says it is still not safe for them even at low intensity.
Anybody who will boast to say, I looked, when you look, you are not looking at intensely because your eye adjusts. But even the little that gets in, close your eyes and see. you will see images, which means the impact of the sense radiation on the eye. The images your eye is trying to, the blood cells in it, they are trying to process the readjustment, which means you got a minimum impact. But if you insist and you do it beyond the minimum, you're going to see these images lasting for about a month, lasting for some time. If it doesn't clear, you are becoming partially blind.
He mentioned that Ghana stands the chance to experience another partial solar eclipse next year.
Next year, there is going to be similar, partial eclipse. It is going to originate from Argentina and pass across the Atlantic, and it will terminate in West Africa.
According to Professor,
we now cross over to the Ashanti region, where the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, GBC, has organized a mid-year review meeting in Kumasi to evaluate operations and activities of the corporation. The review meeting also discussed successes chalked with the reintroduction of the collection of TV license fee.
It was attended by regional and divisional directors of the corporation. A delegation of the Divisional Union of the Public Services Workers Union of the GBC also attended. The Acting Director General, Mrs. Francisca Ashito Duntun, asked workers to work for the interest of the corporation.
What I want to urge all of us is we should build a culture which is based on expectation of contribution from each and every one of us, and trust, where each one of us is compelled to take a hard look at our own objectives, both collectively and individually, in order to impact the success of GBC as a whole. We do not only stay focused and on track, everybody is brought into the loop, and this empowers ideas.
Acting Director of Finance, Reverend Ebenezer Botwe, spoke on the collection of TV license since its reintroduction a little over a year ago.
We want people to know that we're coming back to the homes. We've run the advert for a very long time on the fact that we are coming back to home, and agents also will be identified. There'll be letters from GBC, there'll be security ID cards, and then there'll be system also codings that will help you to find out whether somebody is fake or not.
Reverend Botwe disclosed that an initiative codenamed Manual Agency Collection will be introduced to allow individual and agencies to also collect the TV license on behalf of GBC. The Speaker of Parliament, Mr. Edward Do Ajahu, has dismissed a motion tabled by the minority in the House to investigate President Mahama for accepting a car gift from a Burkinabe contractor, Jibril Kanuzu. Speaking at an emergency meeting of the House, Mr. Do Ajahu explained that the matter was already being investigated by another constitutional body, the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SHRAJ, and therefore Parliament did not have the right to look into the same matter.
The recalling of parliamentarians from recess became necessary following a motion submitted by the minority requesting for the setting up of a parliamentary committee to investigate the gift of a Ford Expedition vehicle to President John Mahama. At today's sitting, the Speaker, Mr. Edward Do Ajahu, rejected it and adjourned the House Synod, that is without assigning a day for a further meeting or hearing. Stating the reason for his ability to admit the motion, the Speaker said he was forced to reject the motion because the matter was already before SHRAJ, and by law, SHRAJ is the only body mandated by the Constitution to investigate matters of conflict of interest. He said the Supreme Court has made a number of pronouncements regarding SHRAJ's exclusive jurisdiction in terms of Chapter 24 of the Constitution dealing with the Code of Conduct of public officers, including the President. He therefore directed the clerk to return the motion to the member in whose name it stood in line with Standing Order 79-4. He also advised the minority members of the House to pursue the issue at the Shraj.
It is my view, therefore, that the Shraj is the institution vested with the exclusive constitutional authority to deal with all relevant matters relating to breach of code of conduct of public officers, including this matter on the receipt of the fraud expedition file. Furthermore, as indicated earlier, such has also has jurisdiction to investigate all matters of corruption and abuse of power. As Speaker of this House, I am of a firm conviction that constitutional bodies must respect each other in the performance of their duties in order to avoid role conflicts. I am therefore unable to admit this motion I hereby direct the clerk to return the motion to the member in whose name it stands, in line with Standing Order 79-4. Honourable members, since this is the matter that has brought us here, I join the House symmetry. Thank you.
But at a news conference by the minority members of parliament, the minority leader, Mr. Oseiche Mensah Bunsu, expressed their shock at the decision of the Speaker of Parliament to dismiss the motion. He said the motion was not meant to humiliate anybody, but rather to establish the truth.
You saw that we had before us an order paper. Now, our rules provide that the order paper shall be occasioned by a meeting of the business committee. The business committee never met, and yet we had an order paper before us. So who calls this order paper in this form and format to be printed? Second, the Speaker tells us of discretionary powers that are given him to admit or not to admit questions, motions, and any such proposals that are submitted to him. We have no quarrel with that. That indeed is statutory, except that Article 296 of the Constitution provides that in the application of such powers, the Speaker should be regulated to be within the confines of the Constitution. The Speaker tells us and tells Parliament, the country, and indeed the entire world that Parliament, in exercising our oversight responsibilities, should stall our activities and subordinate ourselves to the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice. An administrative body, an arm of government, should subordinate ourselves to SHRAG because it involves an issue of corruption. And he says that it's a ruling from the Supreme Court. His understanding of the Supreme Court's ruling. Indeed, if you have to follow the Speaker, it will mean that the recent case against some judges, which also involve corruption, ought to have gone to Supreme Court, ought to have gone to Shrine, and not the courts. What kind of ruling is this?
Graphic Communications Group has held its town hall meeting at Abesim near Sumai in the Bonafu region. The meeting was for stakeholders in the electoral process to share ideas on how to ensure orderly and peaceful conduct of election this year and beyond.
One halfway edition of the meeting is the second in the series of town hall meetings being organized by the Graphic Communications Group this year. The first one took place in Bolgatanga in the Upper East region. The focus of the event is to enhance effective communication among election stakeholders as well as to draw their attention to the need to foster probity and accountability through their activities. The meeting brought together regional representatives of the various political parties and security agencies, the National Commission for Civic Education, NCCE, the Electoral Commission, the Ghana Bar Association, TUC, the media and civil society organizations. The director of newspapers of Graphic Communications Group, Mr. Yaobu Eduaye-Boafo, entreated stakeholders, especially political parties, to practice and advocate for decency in their engagements and be agents of decorum.
When there is peace, the media functions more effectively. That the media cannot operate in an environment of confusion and chaos. And so, if there is a way that we can bring the political parties and citizens together, for the political parties to commit themselves that they will follow orderly and peaceful conduct of elections, including the use of language, that they will be temperate in their use of language, then we have a better understanding of the issues involved.
The various political party representatives unanimously gave the assurance that peace and tranquility would be their hallmark in all their political activities. The regional boss of the EC, Mr. George Jaba, the regional commander of police, DCOP Maxwell Atingani, and the regional director of NCCE, Isa Abdullah Nasigri, all spoke about their preparedness for the upcoming elections. The next town hall meeting is scheduled for the Eastern region to be followed by another one in the Central region.
On GBC24, the flag bearer of the All People's Congress, Mr. Hassan Ayariga, has taken a swipe at religious leaders who are thought to be aligned with various political parties, describing the actions as potential grounds for chaos. Mr. Ayariga said the rate at which religious leaders are now meddling in politics is alarming and must be checked in order to avert problems. The APC flag bearer was speaking at a news conference at the party's headquarters in Accra.
Many of our religious leaders have now turned to politicians instead of men and women of God. Some attacking other political parties instead of attacking Satan, providing spiritual guidance and preaching the word of God. I know, even as men of God, some of you are affiliated to one political party or the other. But you have to do your work without fear or favor. As clergies and respected fathers of our nation, you are to spread the Lord messages and not campaign messages for your favorite political leaders. Some even allow politicians to use their pulpit to disseminate their messages to the electorate. This is not acceptable. Some hold no secrets to which political party and candidate they support. Others have gone as far as campaigning for their political party of choice. Partisan politics now reign in the house of the Lord and in churchyards. Churches and mosques are meant for praying and not a campaign platform for politicians. Our men and women should remember their pledge to God. The only place for us left after we have politicized everything is the house of the Almighty. Churches and mosques are neutral grounds for all. It is the only place we find unity, love for one another, peace, hope, and God. In the house of the Lord, you will find all manners of people from all walks of life. all seeking for one thing or the other. There is no division, no party colors, no preferences. The beast called politics has the very real potential of dragging this noble institution to disarray and confusion. We are enjoying peace in Ghana, and we want to continue to enjoy it. However, religious leaders should use the pulpit to preach the word truthfully without engaging into partisan politics. Failure to act on such moral standard is a gamble that the churches and mosques cannot afford to take.
Non-traditional exports NTEs from January executive to 2008 grew steadily at an annual average rate of about 20.1%. Earnings grew from $777.59 million in 2005 to $1,340.94 million in 2008. In 2009, the sector recorded a 9.38% decline due to the global economic downturn. The sector has experienced an increase in growth since 2010, recorded an increase of 3.20%, representing $2.514 billion in 2014. The chief executive of the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, Mr. James Tiga, said the increase in exports is attributed to the improvement in the agricultural sector. Earnings from the agri sector in 2015 also amounted to $396.91 billion. The Ghana Export Promotion Authority has projected to reach $5 billion in exports by the year 2020.
We are more than positioned very well. The strategy has been launched. And as I said, the baseline studies that we have taken is part of that strategy. The traceability aspect is part of that strategy. The market hub is part of that strategy. And the export schools we are taking is part of that strategy. And fifthly, the MOU that we have signed with the Rural Enterprises Program is part of that strategy. Because rural enterprises, they have stretched to the districts, and they have funding from ADB and the World Bank, which they are going to use, which we will use our expertise, and GEPAD will use our expertise to train the people on the promotion of exportable products.
A representative of the Ministry of Trade and Industry, Mr. Ebenezer Ajaradu, said the Trade Ministry is poised to support the Ghana Exports Promotion Authority to improve the country's balance of payment deficit. The whole of Africa lost $854 billion to tax evasion and mispricing of goods and services from 1970 to 2008. Ghana lost $7.4 billion to the same crime. Public sector workers' unions and their sub-regional affiliates are therefore demanding a tax justice system that compels multinational companies who evade tax to pay back in full to the state. A report by Sarah Ofori.
Taxation is the largest source of government revenue. However, due to the regressive nature of the tax system in most African countries, where the quantum of taxes paid by the rich are considered insignificant, Compared to the poor, governments have had to depend on investments by multinationals for development. According to the public sector workers, the over-reliance on value-added tax and insufficient tax of multinational companies have placed too much tax burden on salaried workers.
The equality of tax payment or tax justice should be a concern for all of us, because no matter how you will be productive at the workplace and the work sector, what people will put together as tax consolidation will enable us move forward better, because your productivity at the workplace would not matter much if after you have done all that, you have paid your tax and other people are not also paying their taxes.
A policy analyst at the Integrated Social Development Center, ISODEC, Mr. Bernard Anaba, disclosed the losses incurred by the country since 2000 and 2013. An estimated $7.4 billion is lost to misinvoicing from trade deals with the United States and the EU alone. Tax evasion and avoidance by multinational companies, as well as tax incentives given to them, which are shrouded in financial secrecy, have resulted in the undue tax burden on salaried workers.
It's estimated about $21 to $32 trillion is hidden in tax havens, free from that. Like I said, all these monies, once they are there, the government cannot tax it. No, you don't know that it's there. But if it is here, the government will tax it, because it's money in your country, revenue will also go high. Africa lost around $854 billion in illicit assets from 1970 to 2008 from the Global Financial Integrity. And when the African High Level Panel also did a study about 2 years ago, they also came out that Africa loses about $50 billion a year.
The Sub-Regional Secretary of the Public Service International, East and West Africa, Sani Mohammed, said when illicit financial outflows are checked and tax inequalities reversed, governments will have the financial strength to run the economy without having to privatize state enterprises.
Tax justice campaign is not the only campaign we're doing in PSI. We have also another water justice campaign, which we are assiduously campaigning against water privatization. Privatization is not only on water sector or energy sector, but gradually moving into health and now into educational sector. Everybody wants to have light at all cost. They don't care about the tariff because they don't see the tariff coming. But I assure you, from what we're seeing in Nigeria, in Uganda, in Kenya, and also in Tanzania, if you allow privatization to take place in Ghana, you are going to pay more than 4 times what you are paying now as tariff.
The call was made for labor movement to be strengthened to demand accountability and fair play. Trade unions should be able to scrutinize tax deals and advocate for the restructuring of the public sector, among others.
You're watching News Hour, and this is the business segment. On the interbank market, the pound sterling is selling at 5 cedis 17 pesos, the dollar at 3 cedis 95 pesos, and the euro 4 cedis 40 pesos. Let's have that of gold, cocoa, and light crude from the Commodities Board.
In insurance news, an actuary is a business professional who deals with the management and measurement of risk and uncertainties in the insurance industry. Only 7 of such professionals are currently in the industry because few universities offer training in that area. Per the requirements of the National Insurance Commission, every insurance company needs the expertise of actuaries. The director for the Ghana Insurance College, Mr. Justice Ofori, said more actuaries are needed to grow the insurance industry.
Insurance experts advise that insurance companies in the country must set up actuarial departments and have professional actuaries to support service delivery. An actuary in an insurance company helps to design and price insurance policies to make them competitive and profitable. Actuaries make extensive use of analysis, economics and mathematical skills to evaluate risks. They set guidelines for each risk class and category. The underwriter's role starts after an actuary has completed his task. The director for the Ghana Insurance College, Mr. Justice Ofori, said the industry lacks the expertise of actuaries because they are few in the system.
On the Ghanaian market, we don't have many of them. We have probably about 6 or 7 on the market. The industry needs a lot of actuaries, just that we don't have them on our market. It is a requirement by the NIC that all insurance companies should have actuarial units within their companies. So there's a market for actuaries, and I think it's a very important profession so far as insurance is concerned. All insurance companies have actuaries. Sometimes they don't have them employed on the premises, but they have them as consultants.
A successful actuary needs to understand the nature of insurance, the risk inherent in different types of assets, the ways of using statistical modules, and the legal and regulatory constraints that apply to the business. GBC24 chanced on an actuary for the National Insurance Commission and a resource person at the Ghana Insurance College, Mr. Richard Ocheri.
At the commission, basically, the actuarial department work is in the area of solvency. That is, we assess the company's financial position to ensure it is solvent at all times, which means that the company's assets should be more than the liability based on a particular solvency regime at the commission, and also look at the risk the companies are exposed to. Look at all this and we assess it, quantify it, and then provide some advice to the company.
An actuary's ultimate aim is to protect the policyholder.
That's all for the insurance news. We have more news coming up. Please do stay.
Hello again, you're still watching News Hour on GBC24 on the health front. The National Blood Service of Ghana, the Ministry of Health and the Kolibu Teaching Hospital have signed a memorandum of understanding with the Japanese International Cooperation Agency and Terimo Corporation. The aim is to reduce the risk of infections during blood transfusion.
In Ghana, an average of 2% of blood donors are infected with HIV. Also, 55% of donors carry the malaria parasites within their bloodstream. These are of grave concern to the National Blood Service. Ensuring safe transfusion each step of the process requires heightened level of safety mechanisms, which is usually difficult to achieve in most African countries. The signing of the Memorandum of Understanding at Accra with the Japan International Cooperation Agency and Terumo Corporation with the National Blood Service, the Ministry of Health and the Kolibu Teaching Hospital is to implement the Mirasol whole blood system at the blood centers in Accra and Kumasi. The system will reduce the risk of transfusion-transmitted infections to patients to the barest minimum and also improve on blood safety. The Mirasol whole blood system uses an hemovigilance infrastructure, that is, using riboflavin or vitamin B2 naturally occurring non-toxic compound combined with ultraviolet light to provide effective reduction of viruses. Minister for Health, Mr. Alex Segbefia, applauded the bilateral relations between Ghana and Japan, especially for establishing 64 chips compound across the country.
Our relationship with Japan, as you've heard, is one that we should be grateful for and be proud of. And I say to the people of Japan and JICA, we are aware that recently you have actually come up with a novel way of conducting heart surgery through the veins, which actually means that heart patients stay in shorter in hospital. The intrusions in terms of the operation is much easier, and the effects are more long-lasting. We appeal to you. We will be happy to have some of that training.
The director of the Central Area Blood Center of the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital, Dr. Shelley Owusu Ofori, explained how the Mirasol equipment operates.
It's useful in preventing transfusion-transmissible infections. So it's essentially eliminating red cells or whole blood with ultraviolet rays.
Now coming up, some foreign stories. In a related story, Gabonese students in Ghana have expressed their displeasure at the electoral violence that erupted in their home country, Gabon, after incumbent President Ali Bongo was declared winner yesterday. They staged a peaceful protest in Accra, calling for sanity in their country.
The Gabonese students expressed their displeasure with the electoral problems in their country through a peaceful demonstration at Alaju. They said the result was manipulated to favor the incumbent. The students said what is happening in their country is not democracy. Supporters of Gabon's opposition leader Jean Pin have clashed with security forces in the Gabonese capital Libreville after incumbent President Ali Bongo was named the winner of the closely contested presidential poll. Ali Bongo won 49.80% of Saturday's vote against 48.23% for Pin, a narrow margin of only 5,594 votes out of the 627,805 votes cast. Jean Pin alleges that 2 people were killed and many wounded when the Presidential Guard and police attacked his party headquarters. The students' compatriots in Ghana were demanding that the incumbent accept defeat and hand over power to Jean Pin. 2 leaders of the students' group, Victor Insemi and Loic Mendes, spoke to GBC24.
Don't recognize the result of election who has come out yesterday. And that's why we are standing today to say no. No to this result, no to this president who tried to steal our votes. That's why we are standing today.
They manipulated the results, and people from Otogwe should stand and say, we are not people that they say we are. We didn't do it. They should say that they didn't do it. If they did it, we are very sorry, but we say we are against it. So they should recognize that what people in power are saying that Otogwe did it is not true.
The students said they would not wait for their parents to die before they showed their displeasure. Bongo's win in the 2009 election was also followed by looting and chasing. He came to power that year after the death of his father, long-time ruler Omar Bongo.
President! President!
Up is sports.
Good evening. The first day of September it is. My name is Rebecca Ewa, and for sports tonight, Ghana will for the first time host the internationally acclaimed sports workshop, Socceres, in October. The event has been set for the 26th and 27th of October at the Olympic Ambassador Hotel in Accra.
It's a global football seminar that brings together the global football industry to network, gain insights and socialize. From daily market insight to events across the globe, Socceres provides a platform to connect one's business with the game's key stakeholders. For the first time, Accra will be hosting this global event where more than 500 delegates from over 30 countries will converge at the Olympic Ambassador Hotel in Accra from 26th to 27th October. The event will bring together the region's leading rights holders and suppliers for 2 days of market-leading insights, unique networking platforms and iconic social experiences. Launching the event at the Alisa Hotel in Accra, dignitaries present said the occasion is timely.
It's something which has been used by many countries to really spur growth in the national game and also to make countries regional leaders. What those 20 years have allowed us to do is build up a network of football experts, which is unrivaled by any other company in our field.
The opportunity that the Socceres platform will provide includes international knowledge exchange, the sharing of best practice and ideas, business networking with future partners, and collaborations to strengthen the game.
It's a big occasion, a big opportunity, and I know that with Socceres we may have the opportunity to even encounter providers of services such as manufacturers of pitches. Artificial turfs have proven to be the way around in most African countries because of one, scarcity of water to maintain these pitches, and secondly, we don't seem to have enough expertise in maintaining pitches.
I want to pledge our commitment and support to this. Not only is it going to help us improve upon how we do business as far as our soccer is concerned, but the tourism, investment, trade, and economic activities that this event will present to this country.
The event combines a conference, exhibition, and a program of structured and social networking opportunities with the aim of developing football and its commercial growth across the ever-emerging West African football market.
Right, great to have had you stay at this time. My name is Rebecca Ewa. That's all for sports.
Music videos have come a long way from the days of black and white and bell-buttoned trousers to color and crazy dance styles. You will be overwhelmed with a transformation over the years. On our regular Throwback Thursday, we focus on some videos of the dance machine Slim Basta.
Yeah, you know you diggy, yeah. Take tax, Slim Basta. Put up the track. Take tax, Slim Basta. Put up the track.
He is Ebenezer Asari, well known in the entertainment industry as Slim Basta. This is how we throw back on the man Slim Basta. Do you remember the song?
Margarita, tata, lo bonita, tata, chocolita, tata, bonita, tata, Margarita, tata, lo bonita, tata, chocolita, tata, bonita, tata, 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 tata.
Let's watch this one, Baba. Watch Lavender from Slim Basta. Next is Ampe. Missing You is also from Slim Buster.
I want to be with you.